we're going to be doing is we are going to be watching one of the worst Urgots in League of Legends, and then we're going to be comparing them to the number one Urgot in League of Legends. These were pulled directly from the leaderboards that are on League of Grass and OPGG. So we're going to have a fun time analyzing the difference between pretty much a challenger player versus an iron player. The worst Urgot in the world, or at least in North America, versus the best Urgot in North America. So let's check out what's going on here. All right, so first off, what we got to talk about is the fact that this Urgot has taken PTA and Ignite, which is interesting. I don't necessarily think that's awful into a low elo match. It is a little bold into a Tom Kench specifically, because the chances you kill the Tom Kench are pretty low. This Urgot also started W first rather than E first, which is wrong. It's pretty much just wrong, especially into this matchup. And it seems like he can't really decide what he wants to do. He can't decide if he wants to be in the topside bush up here or if he wants to control the pixel bush here. All right, he just wasted his ward at a minute 30. You really want to save that ward till like 2:30 when you know the jungler can actually gank you. So let's see. We've got a wasted ward. We've got incorrect runes, and we've got incorrect levels at this point. Okay, so he got the push advantage, but I'm not really sure what his plan is here. The Tom Kench also took W first. Man, this is iron. No way. All right, so probably something to talk about here that's kind of interesting is out of the first two waves, we've only gotten 5 CS. He's getting some great poke there. Obviously, Tom Kench made a mistake by walking up there. He really shouldn't have. He gets a nice level 2 wave crash off. If I had to guess, the way that this guy is probably going to play this out is he is probably going to keep shoving this wave. Yep. And let this Tom Kench just sit under tower. I don't think he probably understands the concept of a rebound. Yep, so as we can see here, he's autoing the wave. He's missing quite a few minions at the same time. Um, yeah, not a whole lot going on here, but it is a lot of shenanigans, that's for sure. All right, so let's kind of speed this up a little bit and see what goes on. All right, so we've got a Tom Kench coming out to fight him for what purpose? I don't know. The jungler is not even on this side of the map yet. At 3 minutes, Yi is still bot. This is absolutely crazy. Alright, so let's speed this up a little bit and see what else happens. Let's see where this guy goes. He's just roaming around the map. He's not really doing much. I mean, obviously, this is kind of what we expected, was just for him to shove in. He's got a jungler trying to gank in this position on a Tom Kench, not really going to do much. And as we go back, okay, there's the Ignite coming out, but let's go back a little bit and see how this guy plays this fight, actually. So he lands his Q pretty good, lands his E, nothing wrong there. He's getting in front of him, he gets the Ignite off. He actually would have killed him had he positioned a little to the left here and maybe gotten his 2 passives off with his leg. So, unfortunate for that. Well, Yi has finally made it topside and finished his first full clear at 5 minutes. Welcome to Iron. Alright, so he's gonna run away from this. I honestly don't think he needs to. He's got PTA. I guess he only has enough for an E, though. He doesn't really have enough for a W. He's gonna back here. Which honestly isn't the worst decision. I don't think this Tom Kench can freeze. And this Tom Kench really can't push super well. And he would have to reset and miss that wave, honestly, to fix this lane state. So, we have a incorrect level. We have an incorrect rune setup. And we have a wasted ward. It's also been 5 minutes, and this player still has not put down his other ward yet. He's almost sitting on 2 wards now. And then Tom Kench is recalling while this wave is pushing out. He's giving up an entire cannon minion worth of XP and gold. Wow, this is something else. So, we can say incorrect recalls, right? Add that to the list. And we can also say, or incorrect resets rather. And then I'm going to say poor wave management. And we'll keep on watching here. We'll go to 10 minutes and then we'll take 10 minutes and we'll look at the Challenger gameplay. But I already have a feeling that the Challenger gameplay is going to be distinctly different. I'm actually impressed that this Urgot is letting this wave push into him. It is the correct thing to do here. He could be thinning it a little bit more, but I'm honestly surprised that he's holding the wave at all and not just shoving it out. What he could have done there is he could have E'd into the wave to mitigate some of this damage, but now he has level 6 advantage and Tahm Kench is stuck in kind of a extended wave state. So this is pretty good. If he shoves this back out completely, that's incorrect. I will be very impressed if this guy maintains this freeze. Um, it would kind of shock me at this level of play in like Iron 3 that this guy freezes correctly, but can't do anything else correctly, it seems. All right, yep, he's taking a trade here. Um, Kind of messed up his E range, but that's okay. Not the end of the world. This Tahm Kench going into him here is a little bold, but honestly works out well because he's got the gray health, so he'll out-sustain the Urgot here if Urgot's not careful. This is crazy that we've lost a level 6 advantage. Honestly, with the level 6 advantage, what Urgot could have done is he could have pushed forward here and completely zoned Tahm Kench off of the XP to make sure that he didn't get 6 and he kept his level advantage. He also built a cloth armor, which is useless into this matchup. Tahm Kench is not an auto attack based champ. He also does magic damage with his lick and has CC when he eats. So these boots are useless. You should have gone Swifty, should have gone Merc Treads. And then the longsword just kind of slows down the rest of like your core item purchases. You really want to get Black Cleaver pretty close and pretty fast into this. Alright, so let's play this out. Let's see what happens here. He's going to push out this wave, I'm assuming. Nope, Tahm Kench is going to run into him. They're going to fight again. Gets the Ignite down. Not bad. Honestly, the Ignite to stop the gray health and then able to execute there. Let's see if he pushes this out. That would be the correct decision, which it looks like he is going to do. Something else you can do here is he could have E'd into that wave. But now Tahm Kench ends up tanking the entire wave, and he gets back. And this is actually a decent reset for him. Tahm Kench shouldn't be able to push out this next wave before he gets the lane. Taking Tiamat here, also incorrect. You're not really looking to shove out, not into this matchup, because if you're playing at Tahm Kench's tower, he can eat you, throw you under tower. He's also really great gank setup, especially for a Master Yi. So I don't agree with the Tiamat purchase. I think it would have been better to build into something like a Black Cleaver here, considering you're playing against a Tahm Kench who's going to be pretty tanky and who you're going to be matching in the side lane. All right, so that's the first 10 minutes. Um, that's quite the laning phase. I'm not gonna lie. I expected. It's crazy to see that they're both playing so poorly that it doesn't matter. But like the CS not great. The trade's not great, but like I said, they're both playing so incorrectly that he's not really getting punished for a lot of these mistakes, which is something you see in low elo a lot. It's hard to see the mistakes you're making because quite often you're playing into someone who's not going to punish you for those mistakes. But let's see how this shapes up against a challenger player, one of the best players in the world on Urgot and the best player in North America currently. All right, Urgot player, pretty well-known name. He has some guides out there on Reddit and things. I like this Fright Knight skin. It looks pretty cool. Alright, so let's check out how Quante plays. Especially into a matchup like an Aatrox, it's going to be really interesting because that's a counter matchup. So as we can tell from the start, it looks like he's posturing to protect his jungle, something that the previous Urgot really wasn't doing. He's trying to see if he can get an advantage, maybe an early ward to see if he's... Well, the early ward to help his Nidalee, interesting, do an invade. He's also checking these bushes. And then he started his E, level 1, which is completely correct. He also went Ignite and PTA, but that's correct into an Aatrox matchup because Aatrox is going to look to fight you level 1 and 2 because this is a counter matchup, and probably 3 as well. So he's taking that to negate the early sustain with the Ignite, and he's taking PTA because he knows that Aatrox is going to want to fight him here. So let's see how this works out. I definitely agree with the rune setup. I think it's pretty smart. And he's looking for that early trade because he knows that since he has E, he can win the trade with his shield and he can win the trade with PTA. So you can see he's playing very aggressive, but not into the wave where he knows he's going to take aggro. And now, for the most part, he's got full control. And he's also zoned this Aatrox completely off of the first three minions of XP and gold. So right now, I would say that we're looking at some pretty impressive zoning, right? Very aggressive zoning, which is a big plus compared to like what we saw earlier with the Tom Kench and the Iron Player. Great level 1 start and trade and proper runes, right? So I mean, even the first 2 minutes here, we're seeing some big differences versus our Iron Player. Not surprised there. You can see that he's posturing up with his level 2 advantage because if Aatrox makes the mistake of going too far up, he actually, without that pot burning, would have been in kill threshold had he not used his pot, and Quante wanted to commit the Flash E. With Flash E, W, and Ignite, he actually would have had a kill there. It looks like they might execute a dive here. It would be pretty bold, but you never know. At Challenger level, okay, all right. So we see he using his Flash E there pretty aggressively. I think probably to try and chip him out so this dive is possible. But we're already seeing good coordination, I'll call it GC, with the jungle in the top lane, knowing that after that invade, making a play on the top side is going to be optimal. It's unfortunate that it misses, but realistically, with how much health this Aatrox has, I don't think he can survive a gank here, especially if they play it correctly. Nidalee taking tower aggro makes the most sense here because he knows that Quante, yup, they're juggling the tower aggro there. Now the reason that this is a really good aggressive play, even though it might look a little crazy on paper, because Quante, if I had to guess, is probably going to die here. Yes, he is. But the important thing is that they traded 1-for-1, but Aatrox misses this entire stacked wave worth of XP and gold. This is a big positive play overall for the Aatrox, especially into a counter matchup like this. Now Aatrox will respawn and have to burn his TP here. And if he doesn't, I would be shocked because otherwise he gives up all of this XP, but he's still going to miss a couple minions here overall. And that third wave is going to crash, or fourth wave, excuse me, is going to crash into the tower. It will kill some of the minions here, but overall it will delay a lot of the XP and a lot of the CS that he could have gotten. Right? So we see Quante starting with the call and refillable purchase. Pretty smart because he knows that without his flash and his ignite, now what he has to do is he has to sustain, he has to stay in lane long enough for his level 9 and level 6 power spike so he can fight this Aatrox again. Obviously, respecting the fact that it's not his turn and the wave is pushing into him. This is something we're already seeing at a higher level of play that you don't see, obviously, down in Iron, is he's respecting the fact that the wave is rebounding and that his jungler is now playing away from him to weak side, so he's backing off the wave. So we can see a lot more control coming out of, obviously, Quante playing into this matchup. Alright, so he's trying to thin the wave a little bit. It's very interesting to me that the Nidalee is re-ganking, but I think it's because Nidalee knows that he doesn't have flash. He's stuck in an extended wave state. He has no way out here. If Quante can land enough abilities, this might be really good. But Quante sees that wave and wants to go back to it to maintain his wave state. So it's kind of unfortunately the case that Nidalee overcommits there. So Quante ends up missing some of this XP, and it actually would have been better had he been able to just keep the freeze. But with Aatrox backing here, he does have the option to create a slow push, to build up safety via the slow push, and then push the wave back in. Now, the unfortunate thing for him is that obviously Aatrox is going to back and spend some of that gold. So now Aatrox is sitting on more items and will be stronger here. But we see a lot more controlled play here, right? Someone without this expertise and someone who may not know top lane, excuse me, as well, may have just hard pushed this wave and may have not gotten a clean crash off and then wouldn't have the safety of the slow push stacked wave and the overall pressure with the wave that allows him to fight the Urgot even though he has a item advantage here. So very intelligent. Something else to note is that the farm is also consistently better, right? At this level of play, we're seeing much better farm at the 5 minute mark. Now, Quante has to make the decision to either hard shove this wave in. Urgot did use all of his abilities to clear it, which is quite annoying here. What I think we're going to see is we're going to see maybe an E committed here to guarantee the shove in, but nope, no E committed. All right, yep, he's just got the wave in. He's going to take a clean reset here, and then he's going to back, spend his gold, and get back to lane. And because he knows that it's rebounding back to him, there's no concern at all. Now, staying for this play on paper may have looked good, but the fact of the matter is what Quante wants to do is I believe he wants to buy his items when his flash gets up and then look to fight around having both of his key summoners. All right, so we can speed up a little bit. He's going to miss a little bit of these waves. I think you're going to see the same exact thing play out again here. He's going to execute a slow push, right? And he's once again, because he knows he has summoner advantage, now he's looking to play more aggressive. He's playing up a little bit further into the lane. But it is kind of nuts to see how different the wave management is. That is probably one of the biggest things. And the fact that there has consistently been ward placement down here. Now that he has shoved the wave in, he's doing something that a lot of high elo top laners will do. He'll use his health and he'll use his mana to get the shove in, because at 7 minutes and 30 at 7 minutes there should be a plant down in the river. I don't remember the exact spawn time, and then he's going to use that to pretty much get his mana back and get a health and mana advantage. All right. So the important thing to know here is that Aatrox has a decent range advantage on Urgot, and it looks like Quante is really holding his ult, or not his ult, his flash and his E here specifically, and just trading back with his Q. I'm assuming that's because he wants this wave to push into him, and then once it's pushed into him, he can play around his Leona, who he knows is roaming. So very controlled play, especially kind of baiting the Aatrox in to pretend that he's like scared. Um, and then there's the flash E with the ult. Yup, to be expected. And I don't believe that there's going to be a way out for this Aatrox here. But well played by the Aatrox actually to turn that fight around. Very shocked that Quante didn't get the damage off, but it looks like the Aatrox flashed probably immediately to avoid the legs. And Leona also is not level 6, which is quite unfortunate, because the extra CC there to lock up the Aatrox would have been very helpful. I also think what we see here that kind of botches this slightly is the Leona isn't exactly in the greatest position here. So Quante uses the flash E there, and then the Leona is late on her E. If that E lands and it's immediately stunned, I think the Aatrox dies for sure. So kind of just a little bit of a desynchronized play. But overall, let's take a look here. And surprisingly enough, it's probably because there's a lot more respect and a lot more clean trading going on. But the CS numbers around 10 minutes are pretty close to what we were seeing in Iron 3, which is, not going to lie, honestly a little embarrassing. Now, technically it was 3:30 when we stopped watching the Iron game, right? So we are going to speed it up a little bit. Obviously, both of them are over the CS numbers we were seeing in the Iron game, but they're still pretty close, which is interesting. Now, let's talk about what Quante bought real quick. He's obviously going into a Black Cleaver for purchase first. He's getting Phage for that extra movement speed while he has his W active. Also helps him kite, specifically the Aatrox Qs. So I agree pretty heavily with the purchase here. He's trying to stay in XP range, but now he's getting bullied outside of XP range. This is just kind of standard in this matchup. It's a very hard matchup for Urgot, but you can see lots of pings coming out. So kind of interesting to take a look and compare the two. I mean, overall, if we wanted to do a split down the middle, right, we're talking about the Iron player, and then we're talking about the Challenger player, right? So if we're looking at both, when we think about the Iron player, what we had is we had very poor wave management. The wave management was poor. We had almost no vision control, so vision control was poor. We didn't see proper levels No abuse of the level 1 power spike, improper leveling, and improper build. So I'm going to put improper itemization was poor. So, um, and then there wasn't really any team play here, so I'm just going to say that's negligible, right? But when we're looking at the challenger player, I mean, we're seeing great team play. We're seeing proper itemization, right? So that's good. We're seeing proper level 1 advantage, so that's good. We're seeing great vision control, especially helping out with the Nidalee on the invade and whatnot. And the wave management, also phenomenally good. I mean, into a counter matchup to be you know, it's 0 and 2 to 2 and 1, but to stay even in levels and even in XP for the most part. I can take a look at this Aatrox. He's almost level 10 and Urgot's level 9, so he's behind by one level, but overall almost even in gold, I believe. Not quite even in gold, actually, a 700 gold difference. But still pretty good for a counter matchup, in my opinion, especially such a hard counter as Urgot. Uh, to Urgot as Aatrox, especially when I'm assuming that this Aatrox is also a challenger player, right? So there we go. That's the difference. So let me know in the comments below what champion you want to see next. We could do the worst Ari in North America versus challenger Ari. We could do the worst Renekton. Tons of options. But I will see you guys in the next one. Please like, subscribe, comment, and all of your support means a lot. Thank you.